G'day folks, welcome to this example of play of Enemy Coast Ahead, the Doolittle raid, designed by Jeremy White and published by GMT Games in 2017. This uses roughly the same system as Jeremy's Enemy Coast Ahead, the Dambuster raid, which was published in 2014. This is a big game. There is a lot in here. Charts, counters, maps, rulebooks, debriefing guides, scenario books galore. It's big. There is a lot in here. There is a lot to do. This is the rulebook. It is a 64-page, very detailed rulebook. But before you get scared about this, let me first say that this is pretty much all you need to read to get started. You read this little newbie paragraph, and then you pick up this attack turn sequence of play, and that will get you going with the first scenario. This is the scenario book. It is another huge, how many pages? 38, 39 page scenario book. I've just opened to scenario 1. I have set the map up, as you can see here. I have my objective, target boxes in Tokyo West. I have the Tokyo target map set up over here. I have taken out a few of these little counters, which I don't even know what they do yet. And I am ready to start playing and learning the game as I go via these amazing player aids. I have my attack turn sequence of play here. I have this trifold sort of component summary out on the left here. But just to give you a look at what else comes in the game, there are other maps of various cities around. There are day raids, night raids. There are, I don't even know what these are, naval turn summaries. What is this? A debriefing victory point track, wind checks, other checks, thousands of counters. I don't know. I bought this secondhand, so I didn't get a look at the counter sheets originally. I don't know how many come in it. But it is big. Here's the big map, of course. I should show you this. So this all folds out. It shows you the whole region with various boxes for the different steps in the sequence, from planning to flight to naval to debriefing and so forth. It's all on this massive map. Just show you that there. So in this sequence of play, example of play, I'm going to go through basically this sequence of play and learn as I go and show you how everything works. I'm going to pause as I check the rulebook and think about things, but by and large, you'll get an example of how this game, or at least how the attack scenarios play out. I'm not going to go through the planning steps, the naval steps, the debriefing steps. Scenario 1 is just the attack of the first flight, focusing on this map, focusing on the bombing of those targets over Tokyo. So let's get started. So the first step of the attack turn is the airspeed step, 4.1. Every B-25 on the map must move to an adjacent area. And B-25s on the perimeter, so Doolittle starts as the first B-25 to enter. He enters on turn 1 in Tokyo East. He enters Tokyo East. I'll figure this out in just a moment. Hoover will arrive in turn 2. And then I believe Gray and Jones arrive on turn 5 from this area over here in the east. This is in this scenario, you normally can't change altitude on the target map. It just says that in this particular scenario, the B-25s are at low altitude. The altitude is set in previous steps during their flight. Once they enter the target map, they can't change their altitude anymore. So they're all fixed at low altitude as they fly over these targets. This brings us to step 4.2, place hazards. So in each area occupied by B-25, we simply draw hazard markers and place them face down in the area. The number of markers to place is 1 for each B-25 in the area, and plus or minus based on detonations. Now detonations I think should be at 0 down there. The alert level is also plus or minus the alert level. So the alert level is 1 for this scenario. I don't know where to place this. I've just placed it on the turn track as 1. So it's 1 for the alert level, and then 1 for the B-25. So my understanding is that we should be drawing 2 hazards for this area. Actually, my mistake. detonation should be on 0, which gives us the -2 hazards indicator. So it's actually, -1 or 0. So 1 for the B25, 1 for the alert level, -2 for the detonations. Because there hasn't been any detonations yet, the Japanese are off their guard. So it's 2, -2 is 0 for placing hazards. Just to show you what's happened here, I've placed all the Tokyo hazards. They all have this little T up in the top right. They've all gone in the cup. I don't know what they do yet, but we'll find out soon enough. Step 4.3 is to assign hazards. Hazard markers printed with a red square must be placed in the target boxes. I'll give you an example of what they look like. Here we are. Here's a red square hazard. Then assign the remaining hazards to B25s in their area. No hazards, so we don't have to assign that. We don't have to evade hazards. Normally we can attach one hazard marker to a B25. One hazard marker may be evaded in this way in each area. If planes are at high altitude, they skip this phase. And then we have gunnery, 4.5. Each B25 may attempt to attack one interceptor assigned or attached to it. Again, we don't have to worry about that because there are no interceptors. Again, these will be hazard markers, which I'm sure we'll come across soon enough. And resolve hazards one at a time, flip hazard markers over. Those assigned or attached to a B25 immediately affect their respective B25. Again, we don't have to worry about that. Exit. Unloaded B25s in perimeter areas may exit, return them to their flight. So that's when they're leaving the map. And I think they'll be leaving the map off on this west side here, this western perimeter. We then approach target 4.8. B25s with audience may attempt to enter target boxes. My understanding is that Doolittle was trying to bomb the armory. So I'm just going to try and do this historically and head him into Tokyo West and then bomb the armory. I think Hoover then bombed the electric plant and Gray bombed this factory. So I'm going to just try and do that. I mean, I don't want to mess with history too much, so we'll stick to the plan. So they're not going to make an attempt on these target boxes. Yeah, so I may attempt to enter target boxes. That's not happening. This is where I drop ordnance, step 4.9. And that's it. That's the end of the first turn. That first turn went pretty smoothly, just as we surprised the Japanese and move into, where are we, Tokyo East. We then begin attack turn 2. So move the turn marker up. Each B25 on the map must move to an adjacent area. Doolittle moving to Tokyo West. Do a nice scenic flight over the Imperial Palace on his way to the armory. We then enter new B25s. Hoover moves, or enters the map on the second turn from Tokyo East. As I said, heading to, I think, the electric plant. That's where he's going to go to anyway. Can't change altitude, so we head to 4.2, place hazards. In each area occupied by B25, draw hazard markers. So it is 1 for the B25, 1 for the alert level, -2 for the detonations, which is 0. We have Hoover here, 1 for the B25, 1 for the alert level, -2 for the hazards. No hazards are drawn or placed, which means we can go pretty quickly through the assign hazard, evade hazard, gunnery, resolve hazards, exit steps, up to 4.8 approach target. Now B25s with ordnance may attempt to enter target boxes. Now this brings us to a different, I'm just going to show you this. If we flip the play aid over, we're now onto the approach check, a few new steps. This is the simple sequence of play. This is what I've been following. I'll just flip this over to get to the approach check. So the way this works is I roll 2d6, rolling a 7, and I compare this with the approach number, which is also 7. Now, just to run you through some of these rules here, a high altitude B25, scenario 7 to 8, automatically fails unless it is equipped with the Norden bomb sight in scenario 10. At night, a high altitude B25 automatically fails even with the bomb sight. A low altitude B25 equipped with Mark Twains may attempt an approach check in scenarios 1 to 9. All B25s automatically have Mark Twains. Okay, so my roll is equal to or higher than this, so I have found the target and I enter the target box. Now, where was I reading that historically Doolittle bombed some houses and a school? He's actually found his target, the armory, in this case. Now, I'll also just point out that these crew have these elite crew benefits: pilot, reroll, use once. But the scenario, and when you use that, you flip them so that the pilot is face up. But the scenario instructions indicate that these should be face up, so I'm guessing that the elite crew benefits aren't used in this introductory scenario. In any case, it's just a reroll, use once. Hoover gives you an ignore damage result that you can use once, and then you flip him face up. And Jones gives you +1 to a bombardier bombing check, I think. So I'm not going to use that. Not that I needed to anyway, because I was successful. But there are other modifiers as well. So Navigator training skill gives you a +1 modifier during day and night turns. Hazard boxes can modify that roll. Things like haze, conspicuous target, camouflage. And if there are already blast markers in the target box, you can add modifiers and so forth. So I've succeeded in that roll. I found my target. The B-25 has entered the box. I now proceed to the bombs away. Actually, I should probably do the approach check for... Actually, no, Hoover's not bombing here. He's going to move first. So there's just one approach check and one now to bombs away detonation check. To do the... effectively what's happening here is Doolittle has found the target. He's going to drop his ordnance. Success is automatic. And I place a blast marker, value 1, in that area. Then each B-25 in a target box must make a detonation check. And this is the A3 part of the sequence of play. So to do a detonation check, I again roll 2 die, that's not good. Add the numbers 2, add, subtract modifiers. Now this is where the elite bombardier would come in. If it's a volatile target, that is increased. I don't know how that's determined. If the B-25 is damaged, there is points subtracted, reinforced concrete subtracted, searchlight subtract from that, bombardier training, add to that. Now, I need to get equal to or higher than the blast number, which I haven't. So it's lower, so there is no hit. I'll just show you what I'm reading here. There's lower, no hit, place that in the area. So it's been blasted but not hit. And then we shift the detonation marker up 1 space on this detonation track. So it's only -1 to hazards from here on in. That's the end of the second turn. We move now to attack turn 3. We begin with B-25s on the target map, moving to an adjacent area. I think this guy moves to the perimeter. Hoover moves over here. Grey doesn't enter until turn 5. We place hazards. Actually, sorry. I think this is a perimeter area. One thing I should have done is unloaded Doolittle's bombs. So that is now unloaded. And he can't exit until step 4.7, the exit phase. So he's still in this area, technically. So Hoover has moved over. We now place hazard in each area occupied by B-25. There are 2 B-25s, -1 for detonation. So 2 minus 1 is 1, +1 for the alert level is 2. We now draw 2 hazards. 1, 2. Some flak and a 0 by the looks of it. Now, while I'm here, I'll just point out, it's covered by this airplane, but there is a 5 hazard limit in this area. We've drawn 2. You can draw up to 5 for this area, 4 here, 4 here, 3 over here, just to show you that. I'll have a look at these hazards. Neither of them have boxes, so they don't go in the target box area. So, hazards printed with a square must go in the target boxes, then assign the remaining hazards to B-25s in their areas. Distribute them evenly. If no hazard markers to assign, skip this phase. Okay. So apparently I'm not allowed to look at the back sides. So I shouldn't have flipped them over. I only look at the front of the hazards as I assign them. Well, I'm going to send the airplane towards Doolittle, and the flak is going to target Hoover as he flies in. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but we'll see how this all works out. Now, step 4.4 is the evade hazards phase, and I can detach one hazard marker assigned to a B25 in an area. One hazard marker may be evaded in this way in each area. Now, Doolittle's dropped his bombs. Hoover is more important, so I'm going to detach the flak, well, whatever this may be, I don't know, from Hoover to give him a clear run towards, well, his target. I'm thinking because the armory has a marker, it may be a good target to bomb. The factory is a little easier to get that detonation roll. We'll think about that in just a moment. So I've detached one marker per area. Now each B25 may attempt to attack one interceptor assigned or attached to it. So I've just been reading through the rules, and I mean, normally during this phase you would attack interceptors. Now I know this is an interceptor, but technically it's not flipped over, and we don't resolve hazards until the next phase. So my thinking is, and correct me if you have played this and think I'm wrong, my thinking is we don't flip this over, we don't resolve this interceptor until it's actually flipped over and is confirmed to be an interceptor in the next phase. And then he'd resolve it or do a gunnery phase in the following turn once we know that that's actually a confirmed interceptor. So there is at present no confirmed interceptor hazard on Doolittle's B25. Correct me if you think I'm wrong there. I'm a bit uncertain, but that's how I'm playing it. So it's during step 4.6 that we resolve these hazards. So we select a target map hazard assigned to a B25. If it is yet to be revealed, we then flip it over. And now we know it's an interceptor. And then we apply its effect. I should say even unassigned or things that have been evaded are also revealed at this stage. So this flak is revealed and it has a stay marker. So that remains on the map. If that didn't have that little S marker and it had been evaded, it would return to the cup. So if I kept the flak on Hoover and evaded the interceptor would then return to the cup, and the flak would hit Hoover. But as it is, the flak stays in place, and well, the interceptor will stay there. So I'm going to resolve the interceptor. The way this works is I roll 2 dice, and wow, okay. If the dice fall within this range, 8 to 9, I rolled a 9. If it falls within that range, the interceptor attacks and inflicts damage on the B25, and then I return the interceptor to the cup. If it's higher than the range, the attack misses and it breaks off, return to the cup. If the sum is lower than the range, it misses but continues its pursuit. So it's attacked, it's hit, it's caused damage, which I'll resolve in just a moment, and it returns to the cup. So, Doolittle's B25 is damaged. A B25 can suffer damage once. When damaged, attach a damage marker to it. It serves as an adverse modifier for a detonation check. Well, this is why I assigned the fighter to him, because he already dropped his bombs. If damaged again, it is destroyed. Now, I think that's the correct damage marker. I'm just curious because it has this severe damage on the reverse side. Makes me wonder if there are other damage markers that I should be using. But we'll use that for the time being. So he suffered damage. If damaged again, it's destroyed and the crew is considered killed. Oh, the back of the damage marker is used in scenario 10, and only if the armor plating modification was selected. So I can suffer severe damage, then they get an extra hit. So that interceptor caused some damage. I've resolved my hazards. Unloaded B-25s in perimeter areas may now exit. I return Doolittle. I would return him to the flight if I was playing a larger scenario. Okay, B-25s with ordnance now, and I'm at the 4.8 approach target, may attempt to enter target boxes, and each may make 1 attempt. So I'm going to stick with history, and Hoover's going to attempt to bomb the electric plant down here. So again, I roll 2d6. I rolled lower. If he would have bombed the factory, he would have found it. So it's lower. He has not found the target. He fails. That's unfortunate. That's the way it rolls. So, approach target. He cannot find it. Bombs away. End of the turn. We're now on attack turn 4. Starting with airspeed. B-25s on the map must move to adjacent area. Well, I guess he moves. He must move, and I think Doolittle had to move as well. I'm curious about that. Maybe they had to move to an adjacent area and then exit. So they had to fly over Yokohama before exiting the map. Yeah, okay. Place hazards. In each area occupied by B-24, draw hazards markers. 1 plus 2 for the alert level. -1 is 1 hazard marker over Yokohama. And it is, I won't look at it. It is an aircraft. I will assign that to Hoover. Hoover will detach 1 hazard marker assigned to his B-25. It's 1 hazard marker in each area. Gunnery, he can attempt to attack 1 interceptor assigned to him. It's unattached or assigned. I then flip this hazard, and I think, again, it should fly away. Yep, so he's not assigned, doesn't have an S stay marker like the flak, so he'll return to the cup. And I'll give that a bit of a better shake so it doesn't come out again, hopefully. Okay, resolve those hazards. Exit. Hoover is in a perimeter area. He's going to exit the map. He did not drop his bombs. Well, I wonder if he can fly back again. Return back over the target. He has to move. He's going to try and fly back around and return to the target and try and find it again. I don't see anything stopping him from doing that. He has to move. During the airspeed check, B-25s must move to an adjacent area. He's going to do a bit of a lap around Yokohama, return, and try and get to his target. In any case, that's the end of the 4th turn. We move to the 5th turn. B-25s on the target map must move to an adjacent area. He's going to move in here. Grey is now going to enter the map over in the far east. Place hazards in each area occupied by B-25. Draw hazard markers. So again, it is 1 plus 1 minus 1 is 1 hazard marker. I'm going to try and not look. Oh, okay. It's going to be a target box marker. Okay, so they must be placed. We now, oh, sorry, I should draw a marker over here as well. So it is 1 plus 1 minus 1. 1 hazard marker over here. Another target box. So now I have to assign hazards. Those printed with a red square must be placed in target boxes in their respective areas. So this goes in a target box, and the flak is assigned to an aircraft. This likewise goes in a target box. I guess I choose the target box. Oh wait, no target. There's actually a specific target box apparently on some of the maps. No, I was just misreading something. So they go in the target boxes. These are unrevealed as yet. He can evade 1 hazard assigned to a B-25. That's pretty straightforward. Again, just evades that. Keeps it in the area. It is a stay marker, so it stays there. Gunnery. Each B-25 can attempt to attack 1 interceptor. Then we flip hazard markers over, except those in target boxes. So they are only revealed when a B-25 attempts to bomb that target. Now I've placed them down where I see fit. Basically in targets that I don't want to bomb. I'm not going to bomb the armor, I'm going to go for the factory. I think I can do that. I can't read where it says it should be random or where you don't get a choice there. It says place them in a target box. Distribute the markers evenly. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to place that there. Gunnery, resolve hazards. There's nothing assigned. The flak is no longer assigned, so it doesn't fire at them anymore. We can do an exit, so Hoover could exit if he wanted to, but he hasn't unloaded. So now he's going to approach his target. He's going to try to approach the factory. B-25s with ordnance can attempt to enter target boxes. He's going to make an approach check, rolling 2 dice. 7, which is equal to or higher than the factory, so he's found his target and enters that box. Lucky he did target the factory instead of the electricity or armory instead. He's found his target. He is going to drop his ordnance. Place a blast marker in the area, and then each B25 in a target box must make a detonation check. I rolled 2 dice. I had the number 4. Add or subtract modifiers. Just curious. 7 is needed. No, sorry. Yep, 7 is needed. I keep confusing the blast number with the approach number. This is the approach number. This is the blast number. So it's a 4. It is lower than the blast marker. So this goes in the area. Sorry, I made a mistake earlier. If you hit the target, you place that in the target box. If you miss the target, you place that in the area. Which means that it doesn't add to subsequent targets. I'm just bombing houses and schools instead, unfortunately. Terrible. Flipping that over, I've dropped my ordnance. He is there. The detonation marker nonetheless goes up 1. And move it out of the target box and into the area. Not much luck there. Okay, on to turn 6. Grey is going to move into Tokyo East. Hoover is going to move into Yokohama because he must move. Place hazards in each area occupied by between 5. It is 1 plus 1 minus 0 now. So it is 2 hazards here. 1, 2. That does not look good. And 2 in Tokyo East. 1 for the aircraft, 1 for the alert level, plus 0. 1, 2. Okay. We then assign hazards. Those printed with a red square have to go in a box. They both go in a box. These guys, however, yeah, both of these are going to go on to Hoover. He's in a bit of trouble. Or he could be in trouble. He can, of course, so I've assigned the hazards now. He can detach 1 hazard assigned to a B25 in each area. So one of them breaks off, but 1 stays on him. Okay, so I think I made a mistake earlier. During the gunnery phase, I can attack unflipped interceptors. It says, do not flip the marker over to determine if it's an interceptor. Use only the information on the front to make that determination. So select a B25 with an interceptor attached to it. Roll 4 dice. If at least one of the dice is a 6, I remove the hazard. Okay, so I'm trying to get a 6 here. I fail, so I don't remove that interceptor. Now I resolve hazards. If not yet revealed, flip it over. Here we go. It's a 3-4, so it's not going to, well, it's a lower chance of success than that earlier interceptor. Okay, so the interceptor is trying to do some damage. Again, I roll 2 dice. I roll a 9, so it's outside its range. The sum is higher than the range. The attack misses. The interceptor breaks off and returns to the cup. Okay. So I've resolved those hazards. They're assigned to targets. This one should be flipped as well. He's been evaded. Break off. So basically this is a potential interceptor, but it was a break-off result, so it has no effect. And, well, it doesn't say it's returned to the cup, so I think that stays out of the cup. Okay, we then get to the exit phase, and Hoover can now exit the map. Grey is not approaching a target yet, so there's no bombs away. We then move to attack turn 7. Grey is going to move into the Tokyo West area. He's going to draw some hazards. 1 + 1 - 0 is 2 hazards in this area. It's getting dangerous for grey. 1, 2, so 1 in the area and 1 assigned to grey. And because we have existing flak in the area, it is also assigned. So we have a possible interceptor and some flak all assigned. He can evade 1 hazard marker. Well, looking at the flak, it's 2 to 3 range. I like the chances of that not hitting. It has to fall within that range. So I'm going to evade the fighter instead and take on the flak. So I've evaded that hazard. There's no gunnery because I'm not fighting an interceptor attached. There's nothing attached. I then resolve my hazard. So I'm going to do the... I'll flip this and see what it is. It's a 3/4. It's not attached, so it flies away. And yeah, so just checking. So that returns to... That is not assigned. Flip such markers. And put them back in the cup. So that interceptor returns to the cup. We just have the flak to deal with. It's pretty straightforward. We roll 2 dice, add the sum. It's a 6. So the sum doesn't fall in the range. The attack misses and has no effect on the B25. And that's all. Okay, so that's my resolving hazards. There is an exit phase, nothing to exit. He's now going to approach his target. And he's moving towards the factory. Okay, so, well, I shouldn't move him in there yet. He has to make an approach check. Well, rolling 2 dice and failing. Oh, he misses the target. He's going to fly around again. Okay, so bombs away. It doesn't happen. We move to turn 8. The flak stays there. He has to move to Yokohama. I'm just going to place hazards. I know it's 2 hazards, so 1, 2. It's going to be some flak, and I don't know what that is. Assign hazards. Well, neither of them have boxes, so they both go on him. I don't know what that little one's going to be. Evade hazards. I'm curious to see what this one is. So I'm going to evade the flak and take my chances with this mystery counter. Gunnery. It's not an interceptor, so I resolve it. So I flip hazard markers. Ryuhu. This is interesting. Okay, so this hazard indicates that an aircraft carrier is under construction, regardless of where this is revealed. Once revealed, place it in the shipping target box in Osaka Bay. Or Tokyo Bay South if I'm using the target map. Place it in the shipping target box. There we go. So I place it in that box. It must remain in the target box, but has no effect on approach checks or detonation checks. It remains in the box even after B25 releases ordnance. Blast markers in its target box may influence the outcome of scenario. Okay, so that's I'm trying to bomb target Tokyo West for this scenario, so it's kind of a no effect, which is good. I think I evaded these guys. Let's see what they are. Flak, and they don't stay, so they're unassigned, don't have a stay, so they return to the cup. That was a good decision. So resolve hazards, exit, approach target, bombs away. Doesn't happen. I return to turn 9. Airspeed. I move back into the area. Place hazards. I draw 2 more hazards. Oops, drew 3. 1. Oops, 2. They're both assigned. I'm going to evade the interceptor, assign the flak, reveal these. It's a 3/4 flak, and he doesn't stay, so he goes away. They're both the same, 3/4. I now resolve my hazard. It's a 5, so it doesn't hit. That's a relief. I can now skip the exit phase. He's not exiting yet. He still has bombs. He's going to approach the target, trying to approach the factory, this time needing a 7. Oh my goodness, he's failed again with a 3, so he can't see it. And that's the end of turn 9. So it is the end of attack turn 9. Because this is scenario 1, the game ends. Paul Gray has, despite having Jones, the expert bombardier, which I'm not using, he's failed to find his target and he's forced to fly away. Fly away, Jones. So that is scenario 1 of the Doolittle raid. It's very interesting. Yes, there are some dice rolling, but you're making decisions about where to bomb, where to target, where to move. Again, this was just focusing on that attack turn. The game itself is much bigger. You are planning, you are moving across the Pacific Ocean. You have a debriefing phase, which I haven't even touched yet. This is just giving you an idea of the core of the game and how that works. I'm going to dive into the bigger rulebook now that I understand the basics of how this works. I've got a pretty good grasp, I think. If you've found something that I've done wrong, let me know, leave a comment. Otherwise, I'm feeling good about this. That was quite fun. For a very basic introduction to the game, I'm looking forward to bringing out this bigger map, bringing out my planning, and seeing how that all develops. That is Jeremy White's Enemy Coast Ahead, the Doolittle Raid, published by GMT Games. Check it out.